Hey there. Welcome to day 6 of 21 Days of Presence. I'm Adrienne Elise. So today is the actual day of the new moon in Pisces. And also, this is the day that Uranus moves into the sign of Taurus. So that already happened early this morning. Now, we've talked a lot about Uranus into Taurus. This is an energy of, and more, the messages are coming in around this as a call home to the earth, to the body, to the mother, to this experience. For those souls that are aware and awake, it is time to arrive. And this is part of the deal with lightworkers, souls, indigo souls, crystal seeds. The planetary energies of Earth have been hostile and have been intense, have been unwelcoming, to say the least, over lifetimes to these souls. And those traumas, when we experience a trauma in our in a lifetime, particularly around the way we die or how we feel as we're dying, that can stay with us as a soul and actually keep a part of our soul stuck in that other time dimensional frequency. Now, what's been happening over the last year or so, and it's interesting because it really did start around last May when Uranus went into Taurus in the very beginning. It only made it into 2 degrees and then retrograded back out into Aries. And so now transiting in for good for this part, for this cycle. And so what was happening last year is that people were having this weird thing happen where they'd get triggered by one little thing in their life, and all of a sudden this reaction would occur of it could be different, for different situations, but it's like this trauma-based kind of feeling and fears, and maybe feeling trapped, maybe feeling held back, whatever kind of thing happened around that trauma from that past life, it's triggered, and it's like going on parallel. I mean, maybe this is how it is all the time, right? I mean, time doesn't really exist. So when we say past lives, we're talking about, a parallel life potentially. And so what seemed to be happening was these experiences were bleeding into our reality. And yet we have no tools, no validation, and no way of knowing what's really going on with this feeling, these feelings. And you'd be fine going along, something in your life trigger you back into boom, these feelings and issues, and just like, and so this is these parts of our soul that are stuck in these other time dimensional frequencies trying to come home. And this is the deal about the light worker soul. Like, you're a very advanced soul, your accelerated path. It's really important to remember when you're like, why is my life so intense? It's like, well, you're on an accelerated path, right? And the more you get going and the further you get in your evolution, the more difficult it becomes, because it's pushing you to that place of ultimately claiming freedom and claiming back your autonomy and claiming back your power. This is a huge energy right now with Pluto coming into conjunction with the South Node. And so we have these things trigger us into these old traumas, and then they, it's like these lifetimes are bleeding through, and yet we have no validation, no tools, no way of figuring out the actual origin. I mean, there are ways to figure out, like if you do an intuitive session with me, you will look at past lives, right? But in everyday life, no validation for what's happening. And but it's these parts of our soul trying to come home. And so the thing about being in an accelerated soul on an advanced path, it means you've had tons and tons of experiences. It means, though, also that you have the ability to exist in pieces. And this is like, kind of reminds me of like the Horcrux in Harry Potter, where Voldemort split himself into different pieces so that you couldn't get rid of him, but it's that feeling of being split and cut into pieces by these fractured, it's trauma. All programming, all mind control is trauma based, right? So you could create a trauma situation, and then that allows you to program the mind. And so that's no mistake, right? That we've had these trauma. And then once you have got caught into this trauma path in the past, then your psyche recreates that, right? And that's how we have been controlled to continue to create the same patterns, the same negative patterns. So it's great that we have this ability to exist in pieces, but Mother Earth and, the cosmos is saying, no, not going to work, right? It's not going to work. You got to put yourself back together. Humpty Dumpty can be put back together, and so this is the process we're in right now. And Uranus moving into Taurus is this energy of these higher vibrational frequency vibrations working on a different level. Uranus is like a different level energy, and then infusing that into the earth, because Taurus represents like the body. Okay, so Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and that has an energy of the spark of creation, incarnation coming in. Taurus is the body. It's like the seed sprout going to a full-fledged plant. And so that's what's being asked of us now, right? Like we've been seeds waiting and waiting and waiting and getting kicked back under the ground and maybe taught we weren't even seeds and maybe, like totally hidden from our true destiny, right? Through these experiences. But the energies of the cosmos now are like, you got to put yourself back together. We got to heal these rifts in our personality construct from these past traumatic experiences and seal up, our psyche and become more whole and complete. That means fully incarnating, right? So this is the message I've gotten, is that most light worker souls, particularly the indigo souls and the first waiver indigos, are existing in partial, very much a small, tiny bit of their actual true bigger self that's actually here conscious, right? And it's frustrating because we're stuck in this realm where we only have access to this day waking consciousness for the most part. And none of this makes sense in that reality, And so it can be very isolating and very depressing. But, now the energy is so much energy towards, it's like, now's the time. You got to decide if you're going to be a part of this experience and come home to the earth. And a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's interesting how these souls that have been so rejected from the earth and have so much trauma around trying to bring the light and bring the healing to the earth are the ones that are demonstrating how to come to earth, how to fully be here. And that is a big part of our path right now. And so we're really feeling this today on this new moon in Pisces. We've got a fresh start. We've got this opportunity to reach out and have a more direct connection to source energy and invite that into our life. Of course, source energy exists in wholeness, right? And yes, we live in duality consciousness. Yes, manifested reality by definition is duality. So we're kind of stuck in that for now. But there's a part of us in wholeness that that can never go away, that can never be broken from, that can never not be there, right? The fact that we exist as consciousness, that we can conceive of ourselves, that's the I am, that's existence. And the fact that we exist means that we have this wholeness within us, because first there's a wholeness and then we split into this manifested reality. And so that's maybe the energy for today, is this tapping into this part of ourselves that is always whole and complete, and it's bigger and wider and longer and more, and it's eternal, and it goes way, way, way beyond all these stories of what we've been stuck in this evolution. So let's go ahead and take advantage of this moment and just take a minute here and feel yourself arrive right here, right now, and just take a few breaths. And I saw a beautiful picture of a star, and this star is like, it's beyond a geometric star. It's like this star has so many points that it just kind of looks like one round ball of raying light. And this star is something that represents this wholeness of you. Perhaps that is this a truth we could work with today. People talk about that there's one star out there that's our star that represents who we are, and maybe that's true. And let's just tap into that energy that there's a part of us that's whole and complete, perfectly, beautifully put together, and just totally a part of the cosmos, in a peaceful, harmonious way. And that energy is available to us today. So what color is the star for you today? I closed my eyes. I saw this bright colored star. And this energy seems to be existing in our group as we moved through this process in the area of the heart chakra. And so what color is your star today? And imagine, let's just use the portal of a heart. Today, the physical heart has an energetic electromagnetic field. The physical heart has intelligent cells. They were the first intelligent cells in our body. And then, of course, we operate out of this place. And, when you take your brain out of your body, it falls into two pieces. There's a very narrow amount of communication between the right and left and the male and the female parts of ourselves, right? But the heart, there's just one heart, and that's our heart consciousness. And so we can activate and become more aware of these intelligent cells in our heart. Now, the other thing is that any mammal or being that has a heart, that has a heartbeat, also has electromagnetic field created by that heartbeat. And this is kind of a magical thing. You think about it, it's like, wow, that heart just keeps beating. And it's something that happens on its own. We don't have to think about it, right? You have to be like, okay, time to beat the heart, And it's a beautiful picture of this part of ourselves that is whole and complete and just existing in harmony in the universe, right? And so whether or not we remember this part of ourselves that's whole, and whether or not we have access to it, it's still there. It's still there waiting for us. And so let's kind of just tap into this energy and go ahead and notice that the energy of this star is an activating energy. And anytime we move into that, typically people will kind of jump up out of their body and disconnect from the planet, right? Because that's a lot of the programming we've been talking about, fear-based programming around spiritual ascension. So go ahead and just reaffirm your connection to Mother Earth, reaching down with a root system, saying, hello, Mother Earth. And Mother Earth says, I want to show you something. And what she seems to want to show you is the star of her. And it's a bright white star, and it's right at the center of her, right? So the message is that, the Earth has an electromagnetic field. We have an electromagnetic field. And at the center of all electromagnetic fields, so magnetic fields are created by polarity, okay? Positive and negative polarity. But in every single duality-based polarity situation, there's one point that does not have any polarity. That's like the spark of creation. That's like this magical place where we are whole and complete, like before we came into this incarnation. And so Mother Earth is kind of cute. She's just kind of like, hey, I have a star too. Nobody's really seen it before. Nobody really knows it's here. But deep in the center of her electromagnetic field is this bright white, and it's a star that's like, goes out in four ways. The picture that I'm seeing, maybe what does her star look like to you? And so let's just go ahead and recognize the star in our heart and the star at the center of Mother Earth, and recognize that just like the Earth, we have an electromagnetic field. And so there's one point that is outside of duality. And so we're going to go there. This is like that still point we've worked on. And it's really great to use the portal of the heart and the physical heart. So just imagine that you're grounded into the earth, you're anchored home, and you're connected electromagnetically in your grounded system of communication with the earth. And imagine that you're standing behind your physical heart, and you feel this vortex of the energy. Okay, it's like a toroidal field. A toroidal field is shaped like a donut, and it's two vortexes mushed together, right? one positive pole, one negative pole. And so we have this in our field, and we can go ahead and move into this vortex energy, into the center, into the still point. And so just imagine that you're allowing yourself to be pulled into this portal of the heart. It's almost like a conveyor belt feeling or a magnetic feeling. And you're just going to just jump on, in a toroidal field. If you picture that, there's these lines of energy and they all go back towards the center eventually. So just hop on one of those lines of energy and allow it to take you, journeying deeper and deeper, more narrow, deep inside the portal of the heart, and moving towards this star light that's within you. And from this view, it looks like one tiny, tiny piece of pin of light, at least to me. What does it look like to you? And go ahead and move towards this light that represents your still point, your wholeness, the truth of you beyond this reality, your still point. And just moving deeper and deeper. This is the chamber of the heart. Now we're moving to the inner chamber of the heart. It's kind of like being moved along with peristalsis. Until you find yourself, instead of looking at the light, you're the source of the light. And just looking down, noticing that now the light is coming from you. And go ahead and just enjoy this moment in the sacred chamber of the heart, in still point, in communication with Mother Earth, Goddess Gaia. And just receive an energetic wave to reset your whole vibrational system to this memory, this awareness, this experience of you, whole and complete. Everything else has gone away. All of your concerns and worries. There's no past, there's no future. You're just right here. And just taking a few deep breaths, noticing what you notice. Letting yourself move deeper and deeper into this tunnel. Eventually, you'll come to the tiny space of the heart. Also the source of this light, which is you. And there's a message here from your higher self that says, never forget, this is who you really are. This is always here, available for you. And just enjoying this still point, this union with the wholeness of you, this star memory being activated. Bringing with you this peace into your everyday life. And just taking your time, spending as long as you'd like here, or moving forward on your journey back towards your regular everyday awareness. But even if it's the faintest memory, your consciousness, you have been reminded of who you really are. It's so much bigger and wider than this narrow experience of time. And when you're ready, go ahead and complete your meditation. Well, thank you so much for joining me for day 6 of 21 Days of Presence. Really great energy. I can just feel deepening and grounding happening more and more in our group. as we move through. So really exciting and such an important energy right now. The earth is in such a shifting place, and we have the power to support equilibrium and harmony right here by living that in our consciousness, because we are whole and complete, but we're also part of a greater whole. And so it's just incredibly crucial. The work you're doing right now, just to kind of keep your equilibrium, is so important for the rest of the world. So good work, keep it up. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 7. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.